while we're waiting for them, we're going to call Christine Rice up. She is the election commissioner for District 4. So as the circuit clerk candidates come up, we have Christine Rice. Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to walk over to the paper, okay? Look, after sometime today, please come up. We have several
Club for the invitation to be here. It's important that everybody be involved in our election process, get to know your candidates. All too often, too many people go to the polls, don't know a thing about their candidates, don't know party line or who they know or whatnot. It's important that we all get involved, learn about our candidates, what they're for, their experience and their qualifications, and make your decision based on that. So I thank all of you for being here. As I said, my name is Justin Wetzel. I am a candidate for circuit clerk and the candidate for circuit clerk with experience in the circuit clerk's office. I've been employed in the circuit clerk's office for 10 years, 2 years under Miss Gail Parker, who served 24 years as our circuit clerk. And now, in this year, will be 8 years under our current circuit clerk, Miss Connie Ladner. Both those women have done a fantastic job ensuring that our election integrity is held to the highest standard, transparent as can be. And you've been up to the office to actually vote. You notice that I have not been in the front office whatsoever because I'm involved in this election. So we're doing everything we can to be transparent and fair. As most of you may or may not know, our circuit clerk has some pretty important responsibilities. Voter registration. That doesn't sound like much, but we don't have an election process without people gather and vote. So we handle voter registration in the office, and that involves also going out. We make a diligent effort to go out to our schools, register students, but then more importantly, while we're there, we have to explain to these younger children, it's registering is easy. You got to go to the polls and actually vote. Of course, the other things, marriage license, we have circuit and county court departments that have a lot of responsibilities. I'm involved in all of those aspects of the office. As far as the things that I would like to focus on, again, as our current circuit clerk and prior circuit clerk, election integrity is important. We all know that. Transparent and fair elections. Our absentee process. It's a long 45-day process that is ran by the circuit clerk. Our election commissioners play a very large part in that, but I'll tell you the absentee process is near solely on the circuit clerk. And then, of course, making sure that the wheels of justice in our court departments continue to turn efficiently. If we're not doing our job in the court department, that will bog down the court system. So we have to make sure that that continues to run efficiently and effectively. So I ask that you consider my experience in the circuit clerk's office for 10 years on not only August 8th, November 7th, and vote for Justin Wetzel for circuit clerk. Thank you.
I want to say thank you, Melvin, Ray, and Mr. Justin.
history doesn't lie. Dale Parker worked in the courthouse, several different departments, partnered with Webley for 26 years before she was elected, served 6 terms as our circuit clerk. Our current circuit clerk, Connie Wagner, served 32 years in the circuit clerk's office before she was elected, now finishing her 2nd term. So, experience cannot be overlooked. It's extremely important. I have 10 years of experience in the office. Yes, my primary responsibility in the office as Chief Deputy of Finance and Accounting is to handle all of the accounting and finance in the office. I manage over 80 plus bank accounts in excess of $2.5 million, go through that everywhere. That takes up a lot of time, but I'm involved in the circuit clerk's office, usually, in our absentee process, voter registration, marriage license, in the court departments, with helping them if they get a bunch of complaints mailed in. With our jury process, we mail out jury summons. When our jurors come in to serve for jury duty, you have to impanel those jurors. I've been involved in all of that for almost 10 years. That's critical. So that's why I'm running on my experience, because I know the election process from start to finish, and the circuit clerk essentially is a 6th election commissioner without a vote. 5 election commissioners have to vote, the voting power. I know all of the computer systems and programs that we use in our office. Some of those are very complex systems, programs. And then, of course, the court responsibilities. It's imperative that we have somebody in the circuit clerk's office on day 1 experience. We start absentee voting for a presidential election next year, and I'm sure all of you are aware, it's getting more and more contested every single day. In 2020, when we had our primary, we had over 17,000 absentee ballots passed in 45 days. It's going to be worse next year, I can promise you that. Somebody without, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much, Judge Ray and Mr. West. Just want to remind y'all that every single question will not be asked, and some of them are more of a personal contact, personal question where it seems like you're attacking the candidate. So be mindful of what you write on the card. Next question, do you think it's fair that you have closed party primaries, or do you support having general primary elections tomorrow?
So I would believe in Mississippi's history, you will never see open primary. There's reasons for it. Now, if you ask me, yesterday being one of the hottest days in Mississippi and on the coast, you better believe I would love to be finished this coming Tuesday. But we got to go through September, where it's going to get hot. So I would love to have been in an open primary where Democrats and Republicans could have voted for me on this coming August the 8th. It sounds like a good idea. But I would tell you that in some of the other parts of our state, open primaries are not a good idea. So you have to consider the whole when deciding whether or not you are for or against open primary. So I would say for me that's a good idea. But I don't think that's a good idea for the whole.
I would certainly have to agree with Judge Ray there. Open primaries, I don't see ever happening here in Mississippi. Working in the office, I see it all too often. People come in to absentee vote, they have questions, well, where's such and such candidate? They don't understand that primary elections are party elections. It's just simply to choose the candidate that's going to represent that party in the general election in November. So, as Judge Ray said, it would be nice to get that over in August. I don't see it happening, but I don't see our closed primary elections as any unfair election or anything of that nature.
Next question, do either of you currently have another job, and if so, where it is, and
second full-time job, but prior to my daughter being born 2 years ago, I was very involved in our youth sports across the coast as a baseball, very little softball umpire. As she gets a little older, I would like to get back into that. That was one of the greatest times, is being around those kids and teaching them a few things from an early age. So yes, I do or have umpired baseball in the evenings or on the weekends, and I hope to get back to that, but certainly not next year because there's not going to be any time for that.
Next question, how would you go about ensuring the integrity of the absentee votes? And how would you close shorten the 45-day processing time? Once again, if you have any questions, please, if you have any questions and need a card to write it on, raise your hand, we can get you a card. And also, if you finish writing your question, raise your hand so that we can collect that card. Please print also.
Election integrity is something that's serious and very important. If we see what is happening in our country, there's room for debate on it. That's why in the next 90 days, I'm going to be pushing and encouraging my supporters to show up on November the 7th, to come to the poll on November the 7th. You know, right now, you absentee voting, and not to challenge any of the integrity of the office right now. I'm grateful for everything that Tanya Landner has helped me with as I prepared to run for this position. I would even mention I'm grateful for Dale Park as well. But when you vote absentee, it is apply for the ballot, you're given the ballot, it's placed in an envelope, name on the envelope. When they open it up, I guess the resolution board will review that. But when you go and you're in that curtain, or you're behind that little wall there, and you're covering your die, and you go over to the ballot retriever, you put the ballot in, where it's a computer, and it can begin to do calculations. I think that's one of the safest ways. If you remember, Mississippi, several years ago, these Harrison County did, we had a monitor, and where you could go and use the computer and vote. And then we realized that wasn't a good idea. I remember being in computer class in elementary school, in high school, and you can write a program to say X equals, and all this. So you can program a computer to say whatever you want to say. So going to the poll is the most secure way to do it.
So as I said in my opening, integrity of our elections is, if not the top priority, one of my top priorities. Our absentee voting process in the office, I can promise you, although some people from the outside may have some different beliefs or views on that process, it is about as secure as it can be. As Judge Ray said, yes, you come in, you have to fill out an application, fill it out, complete, you want to vote and everything. We as clerks are there making sure if you have any questions, of course, can't tell you to vote, or make sure that your ballot is placed in the envelope, it's sealed properly, and you signed it properly, because you have to sign across the flat. For any of you that may have the time to go absentee vote, make sure that you sign all the way across the seal. Our resolution board, that is one of the rules that they have to follow. If that signature is not across the flat, your ballot may not be counted. We do our part in the office to make sure, as we watch you sign, that it goes across that flat. The resolution board is made up of anywhere from 5 to 7 members, depending on the election. anonymous way to vote, I would say. But in our office, every absentee ballot that is passed, put it in placed in a ballot box in our office. That ballot box is under security footage 24/7 through the entire 45-day process, and then brought down to our emergency management room election day, and those are processed that morning by the resolution board. So, I believe our absentee process is the integrity of our absentee process is top notch. I don't quite understand the rest of the question here, how we close and shorten the 45-day processing time. 45 days is just set by legislature. Other than that, thank you.
All right, I do want to remind you all to print, and also questions are based on questions that are given to us from the audience. We will be calling candidates to share, board of supervisor, justice court judge up, so if you have any questions for the share, board of supervisor, or the justice court judge, you can start writing those questions now. Once again, no personal attacks, no keep it clean. Our final question for these candidates: what would you do to improve your office? Next part, how do you plan to get people out to vote? Thank you. All right, so thank you all very much. Our candidates for circuit clerk. At this time, we're going to call the candidates up for the sheriff department. We do want to thank all of our sponsors. We have Delta Sigma Theta Royalty, Mount Olive Law Free, our Gulfport branch of NAACP, and North Gulfport Civic Club. Thank you, Judge Ray and Mr. Webster. At this time, we need the sheriff candidates to come up to the front. Our two candidates do have literature over there in that room. If you want to just afterwards, when we finish, just go and visit their table. We only have one candidate. Y'all have those good questions. So we have Louis Elias. All right. Do we have anyone that's here to represent Matt Haley? And if you're writing these questions, please print. We need some questions.
Good morning, everyone. Raise your hand if you need a card. I'm Louis Elias. I'm running for sheriff. I'm honored to be here today. It's great to see these gatherings. We've been to quite a few. I think it's part of what makes our Gulf Coast very special. We're blessed. I believe that the core ingredients in a successful relationship between any law enforcement agency and the community they serve is trust, transparency, and accountability. Part of those ingredients have to come with accessibility. That's why I'm here today. Now, before we get started, I'm going to give you one. Did I get his time too? No rollover now. Thank you. I just keep going. Y'all, on accessibility, I believe that a sheriff should be behind bars and gates and places you have to go that are subject to search to talk to them about something that is very important. He should be out in the community, easily accessible to you, whether it be in person or by phone. With that being said, if you have a pen, I'm going to give you my cell phone number right now, so God willing, we go in Tuesday, you call me if you need anything, Number one, and even if we don't go in, if I can help you in any way, you call. Because that's what a good community is all about. Y'all ready? How much time I have left? Like the end of a used car commercial. It's 228-297-0341. 228-297-0341. That being said, one promise that I can make to those that have worked with me, those that have known me best, you won't find anyone more transparent, more accountable, and more truthful, no matter the outcome, if it's good or bad for me. It aggravates me, the law enforcement community in general across our country. The norm has become, when we do something good, we all clap. When we do something bad, it gets very quiet. If we mess up, we're human. We serve a community should know immediately. So that we circumvent all of the rumors, mistruths. So hopefully, I'll have time to let y'all ask questions.
No, I have
Come on.
First question, how will you deal with the poor working conditions at the jail?
Would be right too. Y'all, the jail, we sunk a ton of money into. So it's a nice building to go to work in now, as nice as a jail can be. But the way we treat people has to change at its core. When there's a problem in any business, your employees are leaving by the masses, and you don't do an exit survey to identify the problem, you're spinning your wheels. And you can make excuses all day long about, well, the reason we're 65, 75, 80 people down is because it's a nationwide problem. It's just not true. You should have said sorry, put it on silent. I've talked to some of the individuals that have left our agency, and it's heartbreaking. They've given us 15, 20 years of their life. Some of them stuck it out through retirement and have reached out and are willing to come back and be a part of the success of our agency. But they can't work under the conditions that they were faced with and stay any longer. That's a sad day. We have too much going for us to do that. We need to show these men and women appreciation. There needs to also be some longevity pay put in place, some reward for investing your precious time in our agency. Incentive to stay. It's hard for one of us to go to work when we put 15 or 20 years in, and they hire someone new. That new person is making the same they're making, or more. Yeah. Those are things though that can be fixed in a short amount of time. Morale will come back. These individuals will know that we have their back, and you'll see an improvement across the board, which directly affects those that are incarcerated there, as well as their families and the community. Because it's not just at the jail, it's patrol. How many patrolmen have y'all ridden by and waved on the way back? That's my pet peeve. Oh, yeah. But now more than ever, it seems so petty to think about it. The news media puts us out there as these nasty, ugly people. And don't get me wrong, law enforcement has some people that go to work and say it shouldn't be there. Just like the medical field and every other field in this world. But being in law enforcement and having a character flaw creates a serious problem. If we just start with taking care of our employees so they're not miserable, they're not going to pass the misery on to y'all. Y'all see where I'm going with this? It's common sense, business practice. Treat people as you would want to be treated.
What can be done about crime, drugs, and sex trafficking?
I told you I'm transparent, and I want you you understand that when I say something that may sound critical of current administration or opponent, I only say this not as a direct personal attack on them, but just so you understand how serious these problems can be and how dangerous it is not to acknowledge or address them. So at a businessman's club meeting in Biloxi some, I don't know, 6 or so months ago, this question came up. It was about human trafficking, which is very real. When you see some of the children and the families' lives that are affected by this crime, it's heartbreaking. The answer that was given by my opponent and the current sheriff there was that we don't have a human trafficking problem. It's dangerous. And I sure hope that the children that are out there caught up in that don't hear that because they will lose hope. That's not what our job is. The Attorney General's office has put a lot of money into a program, a lot of investigations going on, and they're doing good work, making strides. I commend them on that, and to answer your question, I will continue working, allocate resources to help them in our area and elsewhere, because it is very important. Thank you.
How can we improve and support the work of school resource officers?
Many of y'all have heard or seen me before. You'll know that school security, security of our churches, our places of gathering, it's a top priority. It's a passion. We've worked on it for a long time. I commend school resource officers. But think about what we're asking them to do. You put one person in a school with upwards of 1,000 children, in addition to staff, all of the employees there, and ask them to mitigate a threat. That's a pretty tall task. What we need to be doing is working behind the scenes with a task force that follows threats through intelligence, identifies the threats. I use Florida as an example. The information is out there, the intelligence is out there. It's catastrophic when we miss it or we take it for granted. A young man here actually saw the information that the shooter put out in Florida in 2019 on some type of blog or some post on the internet. He did what he was supposed to do. He shared it with the FBI. Here at Gulfport, they sent it to Miami. Guess what happened? There's no task force, there's no resources allocated to make certain that gets out within seconds, and instead, it sat there long enough for kids to die. Thank you. 2-minute clock. Y'all, I'm honored to be here. I want to serve an entire community. I want to build relationships within that community so that we never see the catastrophic things we've seen across this country. I understand what is on the line. I understand how fragile the bond of trust is. And that's not a political speech. I've said that at every class we've graduated. My job up till now, the last 15 years, has been running our training academy. Before that, I was on the front lines. I actually worked the streets here in North Gulfport, and I worked in Gulfport. This is home to me. I promise to treat each of you as if you were family, and I won't waver. I humbly ask for your support. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Elias. So once again, ask that you print your questions. We have the Board of Supervisors, the Justice Court Judge coming up. So if you all have any questions for them, you can go and get them together. At this time, we want to call Mr. Larry Bradford, State Auditor, up. Mr. Larry Bradford.
Morning, Harrison. I did have another question. I didn't get it up at the time because of Elias. I wanted to know about the training regimen, mental and emotional evaluation, so the officers will know how to de-escalate a situation prior to shooting. That was a question that I did have. I don't think it made it up right now. Did it make it the time? I just want to think about it. I am Larry Bradford. I am running for the position of state auditor, running against the incumbent Mr. Shad White. This is a very pivotal time, I believe. Very pivotal time for us who are voters, us who care anything about our community, us who care anything about what happens to our tax base and things of that nature. It's a very important time. It's an important time because this race, actually, that's coming up, has on the top of the ballot, of course, Tate Reeves, governor, and it also has Brandon Presley, who we believe will be our next governor going into this next year. Now, when you understand anything about politics, when you understand protocol, understand certain procedures, we got to understand that even as governor, he can't do it by himself. He has to have executive help. Am I right? Or am I right? One of the tragedies, and I'll move on in a minute, one of the tragedies that I saw when President Obama was first elected is that all these great creative ideas came to the table, but it was a constant fight to get it through the Senate, constant fight to get it through the House. So you got to have the right team. Look at somebody shout the right team. You got to have the right people in the right place at the right time if you're going to move this state forward, if you're going to move the needle, if you're going to address the things that I heard Mr. Elias talking about as it relates to a police department and the sheriff department and jails and things like that. Because people still have rights. People still have rights. And what I mean by that, because we have people who say and talk about being pro-life. Well, if I'm pro-life, I can't be pro-life just because there's a heartbeat in the womb. I've got to be pro-life if they're on the corner. I got to be pro-life if they're in jail. I got to be pro-life if they're hungry. I got to be pro-life if they're unemployed. We've got to be pro-life. Am I right about it? So what we cannot do in this upcoming election is that we cannot be passive. This is not our year to be passive. On August the 8th, you got to make a decision. Mississippi's voice has to be heard. Oh, I thought I had 10 minutes. Don't see it? Oh, I'm sorry. They didn't give me the roof. They didn't give me the roof. All right. Y'all give it up for the timekeeper. They had to ring the Sunday school bell like that on me. For Sunday school, you're good. Oh, you need the mic. I got some questions. Again, before you do, please let us know the position that you're in. Right. Let me apologize. We drove to the Delta, and I was told I had 10 minutes. So let me be clear. So I do want to apologize. I do believe in being operating decent and in order. I'm running for the position of state auditor. I have 23 years of wholesale and retail banking. I work with risk management to get people in chased out. We have our own brokerage. I am by trade a forensic economist, which means I look at the impact of the negative devastation of hospitals closing, things that affect the income revenue because of that nature. So on November the 7th, I don't have a primary. Vote Brad, not Shane. We are the people. We are the change. And let's flip this thing upside down.
I'm sure he will be back. Before we have the other candidates come forward, I'll take this opportunity to recognize our elected officials. All elected officials, please stand. Thank everybody. Councilor Casey, Ella Town, Beverly Mark, stand back up. She came all the way from Biloxi to give us a hug. Constable Sandy Taylor, stand up. Our constable who's unopposed, who does the job, who shows up every single time. Any other elected officials that I miss at this time? Miss Christine Weiss. Miss Christine Weiss, she's working, y'all. Keith Donald, supervisor. Tim, one of the candidates as well. Did I miss anybody? Miss Betty? Harrison County School Board, yes. Thank you for coming. Are there any candidates running for an office who are not on political form? Please stand. If you're a candidate, you're running for an office, please stand. We also, Dr. Barbara Thomas, our school board. The North Gulfport Civic Club, stand up, shut up. Especially we are proud to have before us our civil rights icon, our president, Ms. Frances Francis is here today. Gulfport Rangers NAACP, stand. I'm proud to say all the candidates, I believe the majority of them are members of the Civic Club and the Gulfport Rangers NAACP. Including yourself, candidate, Mr. Lewis Alon. Anybody from Biloxi, NAACP, I do have to link up Ms. Colwell. Ms. Colwell stand, because y'all should gonna get me. Ms. Colwell stand. Thank you. I'm going to turn this back over. I think we're ready for our next set of candidates.
And I want you to remember who wasn't here. Look around. If you voted, remember who was not here. Who did not have enough of you to show up.
Right. There, any candidates with no opposition, you can come up. You do have 2 minutes. We will give you 2 minutes. Any candidates with no opposition? All right. Okay. So now we're gonna once again to say thank you to all of our sponsors, the lovely ladies of Delta Sigma Theta, the Mount Olive Lodge 83, Gulfport Branch of NAACP, and North Gulfport Civic Club. At this time, we're going to call all of the candidates up for Board of Supervisors. To my right, we have Beverly Martin and Chris Fisher. You will have a 3-minute open statement starting with Mr. Jones, then Mr. Fisher, Mr. Johnson, and then Ms. Martin.
Good morning. You want a supervisor with 7.5 years. And of course, John Lewis, they're passionate, committed, they're dedicated, and we've had a tremendous impact like never before in this department. You have candidates that's had a minimal impact, but that's up to you. You want a candidate, you want a supervisor, who's been around for 7.5 years, that has done a tremendous amount of projects for our seniors, for our kids, for our goals, our neighbors. Therefore, we feel like, from an open and honest standpoint, it's been very dedicated and very hard work. You know who I am. If you've got a question, you're going to have a question for who I live and who I am. I've been here for over 50 years. We have candidates that live in this and their impact doesn't keep you time. But what I want to make clear is there is no substitution for passion. There's no substitution for dedication. There's no substitution for hard work, personal time, dedication. Now, we say all of that in 7.5 years that we've been on. We don't have time to go through the kind of evaluate on some of the things that we've done in terms of our company. We have to start with that. But when you press turn out, come to obviously, no one has to be one of those is important to vote. So we don't want outside society to recognize get forward to participate. You know the work, you know what we've done, you know how to go. This is not anything to do. This is what you do. We're not on the wall. So we want that to turn out. We want to connect someone with experience, commitment, dedication, hard work, and I feel that I'm thanking you. Hello. Good morning. My name is Chris Fisher, and I'm candidate supervisor for District 4. I want to say thank you to the North Gulfport Civic Club and the NAACP for putting on this forum. And I stand here a little different than I've stood here just about each and every Saturday before the election for the past 15 years. See, normally I'm up here in the space where Ms. Anderson is, because as a member of the North Gulfport Civic Club, we feel it's important to bring these issues. We feel it's important to educate you on not only what the politics are, but when they were putting new school, talking about putting new school bonds. And they were talking about changing in education. And each time that we talk about education with our kids, I'm used to going down there. As a representative of the North Gulfport Civic. I'm used to standing in the spot where there's a presidency, because at that point, I'm a past president of the NAACP. 15 years more, I've served in that role. And I very much instrumental in putting together this thing for the North Gulfport Civic Club and the NAACP got together in the freestyle process as far as speaking. Now, when I'm not playing that role, or when I'm not in one of those roles, the difference is today. I'm in the role of one of the sponsors. You heard him say
I'm running for office. Because I'm a servant. That's what's in my heart. I'm a public servant. And so, in doing so, I ask you to consider me as a candidate for the position. Now, we talk about what does it mean to say something. I mean, it has to be in your heart. You have to be committed. You have to have the ability. And there's a unique set of abilities that I feel I have to bring to the table that I can offer my party. And it has to be where you put your time and your money. Every time I put time, every time I put money, it's right there. And I've been doing that now. We also talk about what it means to give back. And I do give back because I have a unique sales experience. I work as an attorney. And in doing so, I have represented each one of you. And that's my purpose. I'm talking to you. Thank you. Order. I'm John Johnson. I'm the candidate. I want to get this out there before. I have this vision. It has a we need to improve the quality of life of this people. That's a people. We improve the quality of life of this people. And I tell you that because progress is the game, and Johnson is the name. I gave the golf club for around 1970 after hurricane. At the time, the golf club was here. The golf club was here. And that was a man, young, by the name of the Honorable late Eisenhower, who was president of the golf club. Then that meeting that the golf club was here to discuss community improvement. One of the things that he did that was the building of a community center and the other town. And that's still right across the next door. This is the first and not first county community center that's built in Harrison County. That's done. So, okay, you don't have to say no. It was hard to get that done. And out there, that's done. In 1980, to get about that representative served on the school board for 30 years. That representative after that, in 1990, Civic was leading and throwing a map for that district 25 all over the elected north out of the city. We did. So I want you to get this, know, out of this, we had people that stood up for those ones. We did out of North Carolina, and we are still here. Now I like to say, of all things, moving forward, John Johnson, the process is James Johnson's name.
Good morning. Thank you all so much for the invitation to be here. I'm Beverly Martin. I'm actually a current supervisor in District 20, and I'm up for re-election. I'll be, my race is over August 8th as well. And with all due respect, Ms. Beckers, I say forget those ones that's not here, and remember the ones that us kids. Like I said, I represent really most of the boys and all together there, but some of you might have some relatives over there. If y'all could just have another vote for me, I appreciate that. That's why I came, and it's a beautiful building. This is a county building, I believe, not mistaken, and named after one of the finest people out there. Which tells you how old I am. Okay, kind of pretty far back, but I'm the only candidate in my area that's got the experience. I can tell y'all who my husband is, but he didn't come, so I just did that to him. But my son and my rest of my family and friends are here, so thank y'all for coming. I appreciate it. I've got 7.5 years experience. I love what I'm doing. This is my only job. Regardless of what people think, it's not a part-time job. It may be a part-time job with full-time responsibility as supervisor of myself. But it's true. But when you have a storm or just day to day, you're on call 24/7. Somebody calls me at 2 o'clock in the morning wanting to crash me. Does not make me happy, but they'll leave a message and I try to take care of it. Or they got pop over the street. But it's family things. Mosquitoes are biting. The beavers are building dams. I mean, you would not believe some of the phone calls that we get at the county level. And the county actually does all that stuff. It's not just zoning and planning and paving roads. It's a little bit of everything. But again, I appreciate you letting me come. And this is the first time I've been invited. This is a great thing. Big crowd. I appreciate that. I like this way better than walking the streets at 108 degrees heat. So I'll come here anytime. I appreciate it very much. Again, thank you so much.
Okay, before we start the questions, I want to say special thanks to the Southern Poverty Law Center for providing refreshments at the Southern Poverty Law Center. Also, I want to remind you to print your questions. Also, to tell you that we want our e-pens back so that we can allow someone else to use it to write questions. We do have the Justice Court Judge coming up, as well as the State House of Representatives 118, District 118 coming up. So you can go and get your questions ready for the Justice Court Judge and the State House of Representatives 118. Proof your questions, because we don't want to just go through and change your questions. You can't probably change what you're trying to ask. I want to remind the candidates up here to please pay attention to those ladies over there who are holding up the cards. First question, what changes do you feel are needed to help District 4 become the place we want it to be? And of course, when Ms. Barr can come up, she can tell us what changes she wants for her district. So what changes do you feel are needed to help District 4 become the place we want it to be? We're going to start with how the names are printed on the ballot. Mr. Jones, Mr. Fisher, Mr. Johnson, and then Ms. Martin can come up in that order. What changes do you feel are needed to help your district, District 4 or District 1, become the place you want it to be? Let me say on the program, yes. Going down from the paper that was given to me. How about that?
So how can we improve this place? That's a question that I really just asked this before. You know, the time that I've been here before, I kind of guess I can do it. I think District 4 is the absolute best district of Africa. We have Apple, we have the port. It is a great place to be. It's very
all about, they seek jobs all over the world. Coming back to the county. And a lot of those times, we're sitting at the table, the CEO of the company, like budget, or coming from overseas. And we're trying to always make this reform that has some kind of a rest assured, you may not see it on the news, you may not read about it, but we're constantly working to make this reform in Harrison County and what those better places to live. And there's tremendous room to grow. And we're growing by leaps and bounds. Harrison County is one of the fastest growing counties in the state. This poor is going right along. And I'm trying to get you. This is what I grew up. With that kind of thing. How can we make District 4 better? Quite simply, how do you make anything better? Hold on to your past. Preserve it. Take what's good about it. Keep that. Develop. Grow. See, we've got to start looking forward. We've got to remember to hold on to what we have, to what we do have. Start looking forward. And move and improve. Now, let me say this. That this report is a wide range, wide variety of different cultures, neighborhoods, all the things. What goes on in the Philadelphia race is not the same as what's in Gaston. But differently, we've got to find a way to balance all of this and keep it in picture. We've got to have our seat at the table. It is far too long that this report has been before us on this disadvantage. We've got to equalize it. All this money coming in from Gulf Coast Restoration and DP money, we've got to get out of this. Do it by this. Do it by being responsible. That's one thing we promise. We promise to be responsive. We promise to be responsible. But we have.
There's 5 supervisors. 1 plus 1 equals 0. But 1 plus 2 equals all 5. And Supervisor Jones and I have been very successful with getting a third vote in that board and help both of our communities as well as all the districts in your city. But at the end of the day, you've got to build that consensus among your co-workers, which would be very lucky that you're very good. And it's not so much luck as it is hard work. It's a give and take type of thing. I would say that I like to take credit for some of the things that happen in this district, just like Supervisor Jones takes credit for what happens in District 1. So I'm going to continue to work together and vote for the good of the county as a whole.
You all like the North Gulfport City Club page yet on Facebook? We are on Facebook, and just want you to know that we are live streaming on Facebook. So, our next question. Homeowners in Rolling Meadows are losing portions of our land. It's eroded into the city's ravines. We need current pipes installed. And the question is, do you support installing pipes in Rolling Meadows area? So the order we're going to go in, Mr. Fisher, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Jones, and then Ms. Martin. And I will leave the question up here.
Well, I support. Let me say quite frankly, I support any and everything that allows people to be safe, secure, and prosperous in the home. If you have a home, that is your property, that is your land, that is what you get. Anything that the homeowner feels more adequate, the technicians feel are more stable and will provide more safety to those homes, I support it. That's one thing to say you support it, and one thing to say that. And that is the way that has to be sat down. It has to be not wholeheartedly jumped into. It has to be thought out, planned out, and done to the least disturbance to those homeowners. But I do say that anything that provides for a prosperous, well-being home for those that have paid for it, sacrificed for it, some of those residents have been there 40, 50 years. I'm not about replacing them. I'm not about putting them in work. Anything that has been done or can be done, that's the thing. Another question. Hold it up. There's a difference between town responsibility and a civic responsibility. Town can sit, but a road down is private area, get it done, it's the civic responsibility. You don't want to talk about it. But it always is kind of whatever. The problem we have in places in all this country, inside the council, is private area, your city responsibility. Yeah, what you really need, I know how that goes, you have to say. What we need to do, when you put trash on the street, you don't need to put it on the power line. You don't need to put it on a tree. You put the trash out. And you need to call the city to make sure they pick it up. That's what we're paying to pick it up. What the county does, grace the county supervisor. It's not his responsibility, but he does some goodness like he's doing. But again, primary county and the city responsibility to do that. I'll tell you something he knows, you know, but it is. It's kind of in that house, and it is. But it's primary, your city responsibility. And not going to call it city council, we'll call it supervisor, call it. No, first y'all gonna do it. Thank you.
So it's not a neglect issue, it's a collective issue. And that whenever it's time we work in the city of Gulfport, you can rest assured, this board, whatever issue it is, we're ready. We're set already. We have funds available, we have the ability.
I'm sorry, it's county property.
And y'all know that was just wrong. This is town property. That belongs to the city. That's it. Get on him. Get on him. But, I want to just say, I tend to agree with Supervisor Jones. Once again, we do have these interlocal agreements. I do stuff with the other two votes on the board, which is mostly. And within the city of Guyville, as well as the city of Biloxi. We have a great, great working relationship. I feel like I've got a pretty good relationship with Gulfport as well, as but we're often called upon to help or assist with whatever the issues may be. We had a huge ditch that hadn't been cleaned since Hurricane Katrina, that we had to take out cars, parts of cars out of it. And it actually eliminated a neighborhood in Biloxi that was causing a flooding problem. Now, we have since maintained that ditch. And I just strongly suggest you start there. And I think Ms. knows that. She's done it for years around. So that's what I'll do is, but beautification is important. Let the neighbors keep your neighborhood looking good and keep the calm out and work together. That's the main thing. Work together. Thank you.
Next question. As I sit here, there are not many young adults in attendance. In what ways can you galvanize more young adults to get more involved in their community? Let's start with Mr. Fisher, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Jones, and then Ms. Martin.
What ways can we get more young folks? Quite simply by inviting them and bringing them. Not just telling them, but asking them. Show them what it informs them. Show them what the future holds. I've been involved in mentoring programs now for about close to 30 years. I've seen young children from the Boys and Girls Club come up through the ranks, and now some I just saw Bobby back in the back. Bobby Hudson come up through the thousands of children that's involved with us, and now are viable personal citizens who are actually leading this community. So that's what we do. We get them and we bring them. We show them the example. I've also been involved with mentoring programs early on. And one thing I found about mentoring, you can talk the talk, but you got to be able to walk that walk. Because they snip it out real quick. And they know the difference. Another thing, I do a lot with mentoring programs, so that's what it's about. But I have an example of it. Because I've worked in the system, the criminal justice system. I'd like to throw out young black people. I'm not going to let that happen. And everything towards my career has been about not letting that happen. We do things with our youth. We mentor our youth. We even bring them out and say, we've been doing that for 20 years, not just a few. I look around and I don't see anybody. Yeah, those that are doing something. How can we get out? First of all, we program that I use to call it practice. respect, y'all.
I'm gonna tell you something that's funny. The power and the young people is there. So when we do something like that, that you are interested, we can get them in the field. You got to think about need, what they need. So when we say, we think what that, but what they actually really talk about what you need, that you get them, you can get out. That is a tough question. What is not about this big company? I think we raised local and state government by school system. I think this is important. You can't ask an 18-year-old person to understand the difference. City council, supervisors, state government. So if they don't understand, I can do it. So I think that needs to be a class call from the ground level up. Get them interested. If you start into how so that's what we do. We check our school system and ask, how can we do it? How can we make it better? We don't have participation. It's just not that. It's across the board. We got to do it, and it can be done. That's what I think we need to do. On top of that, I think we get involved in our community. We all know ours, but we want to get out. So you get involved in the community, bring those kids out with those parents. That makes a difference. So there's a couple of things. I think one of the supporting things is we have to get involved early. That's my suggestion. And all the way how we can really get that started.
This last but not least, I'll just say it. But anyway, I have two suggestions at the Gulfport. One is civics, bring civics class back as soon as you can to the school. As far back as I can remember, I think it started in 7th grade, we started civics class. Now I don't think they have any more. The other thing that my son contested, he was about 5 years old. We had something called kids voting. I say bring kids voting back. It was great. I took him to the polls with me. I hope Mr. West or Mr. Ray's listening to this because I liked it. He had his own little voting booth. He actually voted for Bill Clinton. Got that picture. And I said, Snow White, I'm embarrassed now over there. But I said, because they could read. He just voted about the picture. I thought maybe God was cute something. But he said, no, I like him because he eats white ice cream. I thought, well, I guess that's good enough. I saw him on TV, he put a little ice cream, and that, for a 5-year-old, that's all he needed to do. But at least he knew who he was and what he was voting for. So that kid's voting, to me, was astounding. I just loved it. Thank you.
Okay, that was our final question for our candidates. I want to say thank you very much. And you all can take your seats. I'm sorry about the closing remarks. Okay, in that same order, our closing remarks, apologize for that. Mr. Fisher, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Jones, and Ms. Martin.
Thank you again for allowing us to speak. Thank you for taking the time to hear my people. I want to say that I believe I'm the best candidate for this group. I want to say that I'm the best candidate for supervisor. Why? Because I'm a public servant. I'm a servant of the people. I do what I do because of my love. It would be easy for me to go and not be a part and not take part. But every day, from day up to sundown, my job is to sacrifice for people like you. Not only for the community service that I do, not only for the monies that I give. Money's not from my budget, not from my base, but money from my own pocket. Why? Because I value it. Put my time into it, my money into it. I value it because it is important to me. It didn't just start me. It's been important to me for over 20 years. As long as I've been working, as long as I've been a part of it. And when I leave my office, and I sit in my office, and I provide service, because what I do is I do not represent for that. I represent sisters, sons, brothers, husbands, wives, often at cost to myself. Why? Because it is where I value, where I put my time, my money. I love the people, and I will continue to serve this city, no matter what happens. But I'm asking, I'm imploring that my work means something. I'm asking that my work speak for me. I'm asking that you elect me to time to God. Again, I want to thank God for what He does. Get myself moving. I am talking. I'm very God is also I'm also from my church. I'm eating up. That's what we show. And the thing, I'm very fortunate that opportunity to serve as president by following the death of the William Martin. I served 30 years on several countries. That is service. But it's service to the country. I will continue to serve with help. Good folks on education. Often, good folks on office. All the things, updates. Good folks on all things. All things. Remember the name John. Remember. I hope through the part of life without him. How we do that is to bring the people along because progress is what gain and Johnson is the name.
No.
I think it's kind of for about 7.5 years. And no one and when you're the board president, you're former is the most highly elected official. You deal with a variety of things. You deal with the city, you deal with unincorporated areas. And you strictly over. Always going to represent people. I'm always going to represent with passion and without conviction. Because I don't have to explain why I'm representing you. It's not an explanation. It's a point of view. Because I care about the people that I represent. I care about all of that. My work
Civic. Not only do we do traffic law, we give money to our state. It's $75 now. You get the parking and for everything down there. You get $8,000 for servicing on the car. If you first have ever talked to me, first ever Christian park, all in one year. All in 1 year. Because we came out and what we do? Give them our money. Because that's what we said we were going to do. And we're going to make no mistakes about it. And if there's any question about who I am as a person, I'm a Bill Baptist. I got push orders in the back. I have no secret. I'm open, transparent. That's what you elected me for. That's who I am. Thank you.
So in my district, District 1, like I said, some of you might have some family and friends over there. We managed to pay more than half the roads, some roads we improved 10 parks, we've added 2 new ones, we've added 88 parking spaces to the Biloxi Courthouse, which was solely needed because I had to work there 2 days a week. And several others. We've also improved the existing roads, restriped, we may not have repaved them, but we restriped them, put overlays on. And for somebody like me that has got outline, that restriping really makes a difference when you drive it. Just say it, one people. But again, thank you all so much for having me. I appreciate it so much. And remember Beverly Martin. Beverly Martin.
I do want to say thank you to all our candidates for justice, for Board of Supervisors, Mr. Fisher, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Jones, and Ms. Martin. At this time, we're going to call the candidates up for Justice Court Judge. Once again, I want to recognize all of our sponsors, our supporters, Southern Poverty Law Center, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Mount Olive Lodge 83, Gulfport branch of NAAC, and the North Gulfport Civic Club. Need of all of our Justice Court Judge candidates to come up. Just want to remind you that we have refreshments. They will be handed out when this is over. Refreshments will be passed out when the event is over. We do ask that you, when everything is over with, to go visit the candidates table. At the table, we have Mr. Reese, Mr. Cook, Mr. Griffin, Ms. Lyons, and Ms. Renee Wiggins. She's the candidate for Justice Court Judge District 1. The order that we will be going in is Mr. Reese, Mr. Cook, Mr. Griffin, Ms. Lyons, and Ms. Wiggins. We're going to start with having them giving us an opening statement. Also be mindful that we are accepting questions. If you have a question for them, no personal attacks, keep it clean. And we have people walking around with cards. Raise your hand if you have a question. And please return the ink pens. Please print. Please prove.
Good morning. I want to say thank you to the North Gulfport Civic Club for having me out. You got some wonderful candidates. I don't know how I can come behind any of them to talk. Thank you for your patience, giving from the city through all the candidates. My name is Damon Reese. I was born right here in Gulfport, Mississippi. Grew up in Civic. Fortunate enough to live in some other neighborhoods like Bel Air, beautiful moms in the audience, my wife and my children. And I'm just blessed and humble to stand before you. Graduate of Harrison County School District, served this great country in the United States Army, Desert Storm veteran, graduated, had to die and move back to Mississippi because I am a mama boy. Don't hold that against me. Started working for the Hinds County Sheriff Department after undergraduate and graduate school at Jackson State University. Had an opportunity to move back to Harrison County. Like I said, I was a mom. Moved back to Harrison County, was a sergeant with the Harrison County Sheriff Department for some years, left there, and joined the Harrison County Public Defender's Office as their investigator. That's where they should be there. I'm now the interim justice court judge at Harrison County District 4. It is a wonderful position. It's a position of service. It is a position of the people. Being in that position since December of last year, I had the opportunity to serve not just District 4, but Harrison County. I met some great people in that position. It is a great position of service. It is a court of the people. I even had the opportunity to marry people. That was a phenomenal part of the position. I just want to continue to serve the citizens of Harrison. I stand before you a man of integrity, a hard-working, an honest man, a direct man. I've always been very, maybe that's why I got in trouble with my mom. But again, thank you for allowing me to come before you. And I humbly ask for you to consider me and keep me working for Harrison County District 4 on August day. Thank you so very much. Good morning. I want to give thank you to the Civic Club, NAACP. I think I did some mention as well. Also, I thank my brothers. Mom, I was glad you made it. I really truly appreciate it. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to not just be here for you. It's an honor to run this position. And let me start. I am John G. Cook Jr. I know you've seen Jake. Jake is a nickname that I picked up in college, University of Alabama, Birmingham. Picked it up one night, a bunch of brothers with me from Mississippi. We were all in the same dorm. Everybody's name started with a J, and it was our bright idea to throw some names in the hat and pull Jake. 2 hours later, I met a lady from Chicago, Illinois. She's my wife today. And she'll tell you, it took her 4 months to know my name is John. So I've been going by that name. It's stuck ever since 1989. It's been there. So a lot of people know me as Jake. My legal name is John. So I want to make sure on the ballot you see John J. Cook. It's not two different people at this point. Thank you. Now, I want to start by saying, I'm going to do this different. I know a lot of you here. I'm not sure how well you know me. I'm going to start by saying this. I'm not a politician. I don't like political games, right? I'm just being totally 100. What I want to do, I'm issuing a challenge to every candidate, win or lose, get active in these communities with us. Period. Period. Let's not just come out when it's time when you get somebody for a vote. Let's be active throughout.
One of the supervisor's questions, how do we make that change? That's how we make that change. How do we make it better? You get everybody involved. Go to Pasture Stand, go to Bay St. Louis, go to Hattiesburg, go to New Orleans, go different places. Take their best practices and see if we can institute it. And be willing to share our best practices. Look, now, community, those who know me, that's my heart. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Klein CDC, right here in Gulfport. I've taken some of your kids, I've taken some of your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews, under our programs. I made sure we've taken these unsavory individuals, as someone has told us labeled them, but we've done our best to convert them to good, positive citizens. And I'll speak more on that later. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Is it just me that feel like church versus all I am, of course, thank you to the men and women of the Gulfport City Club, as well as the NAACP for allowing us this opportunity for you to know us for the upcoming election. A little bit about myself. My name is James Griffin. I'm a candidate for Justice Court. I'm from a small town called Brookhaven. It's about 2.5 miles from here. Born and raised. Graduated and joined the United States Navy. And decided to make Gulfport my home at the end of my enlistment in 1993. I put about 10 years in the casino industry and decided that law enforcement is where I needed to be. I've always been passionate about serving the community, and that is where I wanted to get it done. I've done so for a number of years now. I spent the last 18 years as an advisor for the police department's Explorer program. Now, I've been a police officer with the Gulfport Police Department about 20 years or so. I'm currently supervisor of the anti-crime unit in the city. I've had several jobs over the years in the department. None of them have been more fulfilling than working with you. I know a lot of people within this room that I've worked with specifically with the youth. Like I said before, the last 18 years is about this Explorer program. Aside from my professional life, I firmly believe in the importance of personal growth and development. I like to read, and I'm constantly seeking knowledge and inspiration through those. I also enjoy playing and listening to music. Some of you may not have known that I DJ on the side, and I also play and I go So I do that type of stuff because it relaxes. It's something that I enjoy doing, and that is how I unwind from coming in from the streets daily. In terms of my future, I am determined to continue to grow both personally and professionally. And I'm always looking for new challenges. This particular run for Justice Court is definitely a challenge for me. And I'm looking, as I approach my retirement with the police department, I'm looking to take on this new challenge. And I hope that November the 7th, that you guys get out and vote for me.
But I was listening to the first one, where you spoke about Good morning. Good morning. First, I want to thank y'all so much for the opportunity to be here. And I thank Mrs. Courtney, thank Mr. Brown, who's still around. They invited me today to the University of Wisconsin. I wasn't able to attend. I was called. So I was more than excited to talk to you today. Introduce myself and a little bit about it. So, in District 1, I'm a candidate for Justice Court. I have 27 years serving my community in law enforcement. I have 17 years experience managing real property, and I have 12 years I served elected person on the school board. That's what government is about, and we learn to make decisions that affect people's lives for the community. And I've done that for years before I stepped away in order to pursue this opportunity. And justice. I look forward to working with my community. I talk about community service. I've done that my whole life. Volunteer our senior citizens over there in the senior centers, volunteer and work in schools, talk about PTA all the time. They even help them to do that maybe on a regular basis. Dance team, a lot of volunteers, senior citizens, and music forms, so that they can have a dance, not lose all the profits they have. But I always get called from another organization, thank you much for that. I'll tell you a little bit about the experience that I have. And I'm going to tell you how that helps me to the best case. As you know, Justice Court and Canada, civil suits, $1,000 less. Most of those, about thousands and thousands, most of those wind up being landlord tenants. 5 years of experience managing that property is very and whole side on the criminal very focused on, which runs from misdemeanor traffic cases, domestic violence, 7 years working in law enforcement. The school board job was really put in contact with you. Working in schools as a school resource officer, building probably one of the most, or like most coming on kids. Alternate times we have it in the judge through the house, right? And then the city picking up those pieces, putting that puzzle back together with the problem. And none of it's just being mom. Our first question is, what programs do you have in mind for alternatives to incarceration? What programs do you have in mind for alternatives to incarceration?
Thank you for that question. I try to answer that question. What program do I have for alternative incarceration? I have no program for alternative to incarceration. But as a justice court judge, I do my job every day. And I told you I'm great. I follow the letter of the law. We have the defense, the prosecutor, the person, and the justice. I follow the law, the rules of the law. We have landlord tenant. I can talk about that stuff because I'm in that position. They come and I follow the law. And I may not want to because I'm human. And that single mom being comfortable. You know, that person is being sued by their credit company. And they say I have cancer. And they start crying and doing all that. I have the temperament, the intelligence, the patience, the faith to follow the law. Again, come off as being I am. But I'm in that position and I'm serving. I'm serving. And I'm humbly serving. And and I enjoy the team. And I think I'm there for a reason. So when you ask about alternative, I can't stand for you until I have an alternative. I just perform the duties. Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, one of the things I do with our young people, I advocate for them. When they get in trouble with the law, they call us. They call Fine CDC. And those partnerships that Ms. Lyons mentioned, the relationships, I have those too. Federal, state, and local. Okay. That's what we do. Now, what would I do? Where the law is applicable, I will institute or community service. Instead of finding somebody that can't afford it. I will institute, maybe that individual needs some pacemaker. Maybe that individual needs some mental health therapy. I will assign that person to some mental health therapy and come back and let's talk about it. Maybe that person needs financial literacy class. Maybe they don't understand the importance of paying your rent on time. So you have to deal with the situation with the judge and the available. Maybe they need life skills. We can do those type of things when it's applicable. There's certain things, like he said, we have to abide by our guidelines and the Constitution. But when it's applicable, that's what I would like to do.
All right, so what plan of programs that you have are you going to implement? Well, being a part of the justice court system and having worked for the past many years now, I think they're doing a fine job as it is. Why reinvent the wheel? Go in there and implement, or go in there and advise those of the resources that they have to deal with whatever the situation is. You know, as a justice court judge, you have to go in and review the evidence, listen to everything, both sides of the story, and then render a reasonable decision. Those things are in place for whatever is before you in the court to address. So the answer to that is why reinvent the wheel. There's nothing broken.
Well, there are certainly alternatives to incarceration, right? And where the law allows you to do that, I think it's important that we try to do that. If there is a young person or an old person that comes to work that needs that services, there are mentorship programs there. There are development programs that are available to people that are around criminal justice systems that don't do that convictions on their records. There are support systems. There are programs that we can it's not just that you come before us or you come before a judge and there is absolutely no punishment. But if there is punishment, there needs to be so that when I see them continuing punishment, the recidivism rate is low in the county. And so I think that's important. And being a part of this community and being tapped into all of those resources, I think that I'm able to direct and speak to those programs.
Like I said, we're all limited. The things you can't bring, you can't control. Just do that list. Just to have one program that fits everybody's needs, that might not work. It's gotta make sense. It's gotta be the service, community service, something like that, that is gonna help you. Yes. When Biloxi, I know we don't work, Long Beach, about the school, you might go on, you do all that kind of thing, right? And all that kind of thing. And I really like those kinds of cases because all too often, juvenile because it's left to mom and dad just to pick out the and take the time
Right. Just have a quick announcement, to remind everybody that the North Gulfport Civic Club does have a tea coming up on October the 29th. All proceeds from that tea goes to school districts, or schools in District 119. So our tea is basically buffet style. You pay a certain price, and you just go to each table and enjoy yourself with your fountains and meals on the plate. Next question. What is your stance when it comes to recreational drug use and how it pertains to the court system? Should recreational drug users be given some leniency? What is your stance when it comes to recreational drug use and how it pertains to the court system? Should recreational drug users be given some leniency?
Hi, I'm Daniel Reese. I'm not a recreational drug user. And man, I'm the interim justice court judge, so I won't answer the way that I'm supposed to answer. I'm Daniel Reese. I'm not a recreational drug user. If there are laws in place, if you break those laws, if you come to justice court, there's procedures that a justice court judge, he or she has to follow. Hi, I'm Daniel Reese, and I'm not a recreational drug user.
Hi, I'm John G. Again, if the law, if there's applicable ways to go around it, that's what we're speaking to. We don't know why. You really don't know. If there's ways to work with them, let's try it. Let's try it. Again, I understand what David Reese is saying. I totally agree. The law is about the opportunities for around to help someone out. Let's help someone out. Instead of sitting in jail for 30, 90 days, 50 days, taking their license and losing your job, then we create a whole other problem because that may be the breadwinner in the house. So if there's ways that we can do things, community service, drug rehab, where they don't have to necessarily go somewhere for 30 days, they have to attend 3, 4, 5 days a week and they continue on their job. If the law is out.
Recreational drug use. Is there such a thing? Recreational drugs. Drugs are illegal. You know, so if you're using drugs recreationally, it's probably not the right thing to do. Yes, you get caught, you come before the court, there are some punishments. Is jail always the alternative? No. But reality is, if you're out there, or you know someone that's doing drugs on a regular, to me, drugs, at some point, you know, the legalization of marijuana is out there. At some point, I know there's a state that legalized a small amount of methamphetamine, cocaine. At one point, they're going to stop making drugs recreational. I know that probably is not going to happen down here in the Bible Belt, but drugs are illegal. So if we have people that come before the court, yes, we'll utilize everything available to address those issues and try not to go extreme.
Okay, so let me, the laws in Mississippi, and, so there's no such thing as a law. Look at it that way. There are no laws. And there are people that the recreational drug use is not
question is my standard. Today, my opinion stands that it doesn't matter. Because the law says it is. The job of the justice system is that all responsible. First time in
Next question. What is your position on the landlord-tenant law? What is your position on the landlord-tenant law?
Y'all know I'm not gonna stand behind that podium. Good dog. I'm in a position, trying to serve, do the best of my ability. So what's my position on the landlord-tenant law? They're already in place. Specific law. And everybody is gonna feed off of what I got to say. So I'm in a position, and I'm learning every day. Instructing in the court on landlord-tenant law. It's specific. It's written out. It's 3 pages. 3 pages. 3 pages. Already written. Up there. I'm down here in Gulfport. Landlord-tenant law. I follow them. They come in. I hear the case. I do the paperwork. My position on the landlord-tenant law. My opinion on the landlord-tenant law. They're in place to protect the landlord. To protect the tenant. That's the information I can possibly say about that law. That I'm in a position to give a tenant 7 days. 7 days. They have to get out of that apartment or residential home in their place. 7 days. Once I do that, I'll look at that landlord and I say, is that okay? I can't sleep the days in the landlord tenant without instructing. I have a set amount of days to give. Set amount of days to give. Thank you. I'm Damon Reese.
I guess by now you can see my compassion is for me, our people in our community. So yeah, you're going to ask me that, of course. Again, in that seat, you have to follow the law and the Constitution so down to the state, right? I understand that there's strict laws with this area. I understand that. Those laws have to be followed. Like Ms. Reese said, there's some extensions you can make. My job in this seat will be to uphold the law. And again, if there's something applicable to make a change or to give some more leeway, that's what I'll do.
Too fast. All right, so my take on landlord-tenant laws. I'm going to be honest with you. I know absolutely nothing about it. Been on the criminal side of the law for a long time. When I go to a house and it's civil, that's the first thing I say. You got to go down to justice. That's got nothing to do with what I do. But I do know, as a judge seated in that position, I have to be impartial. I have to have integrity. I have to be fair. I have to have knowledge of that law at that time. Good judgment and effectively communicate that to the people before. And until I get that seat, when you vote me in November, I'll be on top of my head. All right.
So the law
between the law and these, it's not all of it. As you go on, independence. We also, there's a lot of our language that use the definition. And we use some help. And I think that's what we're trying to talk about. And the biggest thing we can offer is have a good working relationship and we talk to benefit from it. And sometimes you need to help people here and there. We talk, sometimes we work.
All right, at this time, we're gonna get our closing statements. All right, ladies first, how about?
As I said, I know most of you District 4. Y'all have family, friends, business associates in District 1. Reach out to them. Tell them about it. Tell them what you heard. If they have questions, feel free to contact me. I'll answer any questions you have. I'm ready to put the experience that I've gained to work in Muncie, Galvin, rural Harrison County, District 1, Justice Court, and I would appreciate your support. Make that happen. Thank you.
And I'd like to thank you all for this club. Get on. Just have experience matters in the service. I was born in and I think that now we can talk about something to continue to be. I have somebody that is member of this community. And so I humbly ask you to all the things that you have done.
Again, thank you to the North Gulfport Civic Club and the NAACP, but most of all, thank you guys for sitting this out. Been here the entire time seated, I know a lot of you. All right. So look, I'm thrilled to be here. I'm excited. I look forward to chatting with you guys in the future. We all have a lot to learn from each other. So I'm asking you, November the 7th, go out, vote for James Griffin, your District 4 Justice Court Judge. Since I've been here off the campus, quite a few things real quick. Again, as you can see, I'm about to do this. I am invested in this community. I have serviced over 400 young people in this community to get their education. And I'm proud to say that. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of a nonprofit here in Klein CDC under the direction of Reverend William. John Whitfield. We run several programs in these communities to better not just our young people, but our communities. This is what we do. And you wonder, or you said, well, Jake, how did I transition to you sitting in that seat? I'm going to tell you why. One, the work I do shows my compassion. That compassion will transition to my compassion not just for the little people, because I have to, as a judge, be open-minded to hear both sides of the story. So I'm not saying I'm just going to fight. I'm just going to fight for the people and turn our back on these businesses and organizations that support our organizations and support our community. You have to be fair. I have to be just. I have to be unbiased. That judge seat, like any other judge seat, settles disputes. I'm an expert in settling disputes. I'm an expert on policy writing. So I know a lot of stuff about policy. I know a lot of stuff in what's going on in this community and how I can continue to assist the communities sitting in that seat. My name is John J. Cook. I will be on the ballot, the general election, November 7th. Please consider the vote for me. Thank you.
They let me go last. It's going to be the quickest 2 minutes ever. I'm Damon Reeves. On August the 8th, please consider me. Please consider letting me continue to work for you and serve you as your justice court judge has come. I'm a veteran, married to my beautiful wife for 17 years. We have 4 children. I have interviewed. I'm a financial member of the Gulfport Civic Club, financial member of NAACP, financial member of Alpha Psi, Order of Mason. Anything you can think of, I'm involved. That lady back there made me the man that I am. She raised me as a single mom to serve. She raised me a director. My door is always open in justice. Come and see me. Don't come if you got a problem. Just if you got a problem, come down there. It's a layman's court. It's the people's court. It's your court. Your taxpayer dollars paid for. It's beautiful down there. I got that man's name outside my office. They've been trying to change it forever. I didn't say his name. I don't want to report it. Don't take his name down. Wait till after this election is over. One way or another, it's going to come down. But please continue to allow me to serve. They're talking about attorneys being a justice court judge. I was at a conference in Philadelphia, Mississippi. 2 Supreme Court justices, I thought fast like 7 something. 2 Supreme Court justices said, justice court should never be ran by attorneys. It's the people's court. It's for the people, made for the people, by the people, for the people. Now I'm preaching now. I am available after this. I get another engagement about 1:30. But after this, please come up to me and talk to me. You can't know me by just sitting out there. You gotta come up and talk to me or look at me, and I'm gonna come to you. Because I'm a soldier. I'm a son. Airborne.
We have our last candidate for today, and that is State House of Representative 118, District 118, Mr. Raymond Brooks. All right, we have Mr. Raymond Brooks. We're going to go and get him to do his opening statement.
Please have the courtesy of giving him an opportunity. Thank you.
I'll try to be quick. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Raymond Brooks, and I'm a candidate running for state representative for District 118. I'm honored to have the opportunity to be a candidate to fight for something that I believe so strongly in. Here's a few things that you should know about me. I'm a God-fearing Christian and a constitutional conservative. I'm married to my amazing wife, Jill, and a proud father and grandfather. I've been a public servant for nearly 22 years, respectfully serving in this community in my law enforcement career, which I continue to do to this day. Jill and I have prayed about this decision, and it's not something I take lightly. I'm running because I believe we need strong fighters in Jackson who are willing to fight for our values and beliefs that we hold dear. We need people who are willing to stand for what is right and give true representation to the people, not to lobbyists, bureaucrats, or special interest groups. I'm asking for your prayers and your support to be that candidate. As a representative for District 118, I intend to fight for our South Mississippi values, our God-given and constitutional rights. I plan to give Gulfport a stronger voice in the legislature and represent this district with the integrity and respect that it deserves. As a career law enforcement officer for this great city, I know what it means to serve others. I'm not a person who was born into privilege or wealth. I'm just an everyday person like many of you here. I worship God, I support my family, I pay my taxes just like most Americans do. And that has given me a solid foundation to know what we need to do in this state. There has to be more people like you and I who are willing to step up and fight for our liberties and our freedoms that are slowly being stripped away. Not just for now, but for our future and our grandchildren. And it's going to take all of us working together to make that happen. I'm a candidate who truly understands what the average working class is going through. I'm a blue-collar public servant raised by a blue-collar family like so many others in this state's middle class. I know firsthand the struggles that we've been through. We are overtaxed and underappreciated and see our hard-earned dollars go to foreign nations and special industries that do not put Mississippi first. As a Christian and proven conservative fighter, I thought very carefully about what I want to do. And this is what it's come to. For far too long, we've seen good politicians fail to deliver the results that they have campaigned on. And that's why we need proven fighters in office. People who will fight back against insane tax hikes from government, big government in Jackson. I plan to continue to trust in God and plan to be out for me. I would again like to thank you for coming out. Your support is greatly appreciated. May God bless you in the great state of Mississippi.
Okay, we do have questions from the audience. Our first question, gun violence among the youth. Do you support raising the age of purchasing guns from 18 to 21?
Right now, well, now for long guns like shotguns, I think it's 18, but for handguns, pistols,
Next question, do you support Juneteenth holiday?
I'll support any holiday that builds community and builds that, strengthens that community and keeps on that community. Juneteenth is one of those holidays.
All right, I want to say thank you to all of our supporters, those who participated in Mount Olive Lodge 83, Gulfport branch of NAACP, and the North Gulfport Civic Club. I want to say special thanks to the Southern Poverty Law Center for providing refreshments. Also, do not forget, October 29th is North Gulfport Civic Club Tea. All proceeds go to schools in District 119. We're going to have some closing remarks from the Southern Poverty Law Center, Mr. Randy Reed. When Mr. Randy Reed concludes his comments, we're going to get Mr. Fredericks of the Gulfport branch of NAACP to come up, Mr. Gary Fredericks. Then we're going to have our closing remarks from our president, Francis Fredericks. He's with SPLC.
So we really are just focused on local policy, really focused on and how important it is to identify all your local officers. So having things like this is my first time to work. I love y'all. I Atlanta.
guys on your way. Most important, Tuesday is an election day. Tuesday, August 8th is election day. Polls are open 7 to 7. As always, from the NAACP, our partnership, we will be providing rides to the polls. Mr. Sam Taylor, we're going to be posted on the Civic Club and the Civic Club and NAACP webpage, along with Eric Hickey. They provide buses, so anybody down part of these polls, you can find that information at contact. We're going to put it on both the Gulfport Branch NAACP and the North Gulfport Civic Club Facebook page. Most importantly, for everybody in the room, I want you guys to recognize and to speak loudly about this. These are local elections. These are local elections. Everyone here has an opportunity to vote for the candidate of their choice. Everybody's going to go to church tomorrow, praise God, we love you, and have a good day. Let's follow this election with character and intent to support the candidate of their choice. You don't like the candidate of